Hey guys, welcome to the video number 356. My name is Ajay, and in this video today we're going to learn how to compile the data basically from the three different workbooks, and we're going to compile the data from the three different workbooks and going to put it in one workbook. And this is these files are actually laying under some specific location, any folder, let's say maybe your D drive, E drive, F drive, or maybe on the desktop under some folder, right? So I'm going to talk about this. We will make a macro, we will make a VBA code for this, and I'm gonna do it I think in the two ways, and this is what I have planned for the right now. We will be also using the advanced filter. So if you are actually watching the channel for the first time, then guys, we have these all 350 videos, 350 plus videos on on our channel on the Excel VBA and Access and Access VBA. Now you can see here we have 43 different playlists created here, right? This is for the Excel arrays, this is for the Excel offset, this is for the Excel VBA where you are connecting PowerPoint with the Excel, and so on. When you can scroll it down. First of all, I want to clear one thing. If you are a beginner in the Excel VBA, then this video may be difficult for you to understand, because this is not at all the beginner level video. In order to understand this, you should be very much familiar with how to define the folders, how to retrieve the files from the folder, and also how to use the loops, right? Especially the collection loops. If you do not know, then let me tell you. First of all, you should go and check out this video, Excel VBA file handling. Here you would see around 6-7 videos, I guess 9 videos actually, and these are all the videos which will help you in understanding how to work with the folders of the text files as well. Then you can go and check out the another playlist of which is Excel VBA, this loops examples, or you can also check this Excel VBA deal with the workbook sheets and the basically to how to handle the data. So you can go to all these playlists and you can see how the things work. And there's one more video which you should understand, which is I'm going to use in this video, which is called the collection loops. So somewhere here you will find that I'm not able to see that, so maybe I can, give me a second. If I just click on file handling, this is about the file handling. Excel VBA collection loops. Just give me a second. Excel VBA collection loops. Yeah, that's it. Click here and you get to see here 12 videos. Watch first these, the series 1, series 2, and series 3. I'm gonna tell you about the collection loops. What are exactly the collection loops? The rest of the videos also you can watch. They are the advanced level videos. So first you should, in order to get the clarity on the basic part, as a basic hygiene also, the beginner, you should know these loops, right? So I have a question here from Prabhat, and he has written me this question, and I request you, guys, that if you can leave your questions on the YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel, it would be great, because sometimes I don't check my emails so regularly, right? Any attachment if you have, you can email me, and you can write in the YouTube comment section that you have emailed me from this ID for the attachment, right? If there's no attachment, then fine, you can leave your comment in the YouTube itself. Okay, so Prabhat said, respected sir, 3 files are saved in one folder as file 1, file 2, file 3 respectively. The data from 3 files to be copied to other master file in the name of the master 1, 2, 3. Okay, in the same folder, data to be copied on the base based on name Prabhat, only which in column number 2 of each file. The header is still header is same in all the files. I have watched some of your videos which is very interesting, and these are used in daily office works. I sincerely request you to help me doing VBA program as per my requirement using loops. Alright, so yes, thank you so much. If you are finding the videos worth and it is enhancing your knowledge, nothing like it, because when I started this channel 2 years back, I had one clear vision in my mind that I want to help my the community, and I'm gonna take up their questions and I'm gonna help them out. So anyways, I mean, I never thought that we would come such a long way, because now we are on the video number 356, right? So thanks to you, thanks to all the subscribers who keep coming and give all these wonderful comments that they are learning from my videos day by day. This is what I need. Okay, so now let me just minimize this, and so what I have done, he has shared a file. I'm going to show you guys files I have put in my D folder, actually this folder 1. Let me delete the folder 2 actually. So in the folder 1, this is what the 3 files he actually had shared with me, and I'm gonna open these files one by one to show you what exactly we have here. You can see here in the file 1 you have sheet 1 and sheet 2 and sheet 3. Well, they are empty, so I'm gonna delete them. It's not required. Keep the empty sheets here. You have the sheets, not a problem. I will run the code in such a way that from the every sheet the data is going to be compiled. Don't worry about that part. I open the file 2, and so this is where also again you have serial number, name, amount, and I just delete these as well. Okay, and there's one more file guys, which is file 3, and it has again these blank sheets. I'm gonna delete that. So now if you look at the files, what he says is that all the files have the same header. I can see that this is the file 1, this is the file 2, and this is the file 3. Data is same. So what he wants to do is he wants to copy the data in a new file, in a new workbook, which should have only this data path. He wants to prepare a code for this. Well, there are several ways of doing that. You can put the pivot, you can compile the data and then put the pivot. You can maybe use the advanced filter, you can compile the data. You can also use the loop. So we are going to actually discuss the loops here, and then I will try to also show you that how you can use the advanced filter as well in the VBA coding. Okay, so now the question is that we want to pick up only the path from all these files one by one. So the first thing which you want to understand here is first the idea is first let me just create a new file here, because he said that the file name has to be master sheet 123. Okay, so I just copy this, and under this folder I create one more file guys. This is what we need, and I'm going to name it as master sheet. Let's say master sheet 123 also. I mean, you can keep it, that's fine. Just name it as master sheet. Now understand, first of all, let me open this file. The first thing which you need to do is you will have to tell your VBA that where is your folder. My folder is, it's in the E drive, and the folder name and the folder path has to be there. Path with folder name. Okay, so how do you define the folders? You use the file system object. You use the scripting.filesystem class. This is what we will use, and if you don't know anything about it, please go and check Excel VBA file handling list which I was talking. So we're going to define our folder. Once you have defined the folder, what is the next thing you want to do? We'll open all the files, Excel files from there. Okay, so I hope that when you have this folder created, you don't have any text files there or any CSV files. If you have, just move them out, because my code will work only on those files which are under this folder, and if the text file would come there, it will create a problem. So just get them removed. And if you ask me that what if we have all the different extensions, all the types of files there, we have the CSV, we have the text file, then you can put the if condition. For that you can check out my file handling videos. There I have talked about it, how you can use the filter, and the loop will pick only the Excel files. But in this I'm just not going to use that. Okay, so we will open the files one by one. Once you have all the workbooks open, you will run the loop, and this is how we will run the loop. We will use the 2 collection loops for each workbook in workbooks. This is what I was talking about. If you don't know anything about the workbooks, about the collection loops, these are called the collection loops. Please go ahead and watch the Excel VBA collection loops playlist. These are the predefined loops in VBA which are given to us by Microsoft, and we use them when we want to loop through all the objects falling under the same category. For example, for each workbook in workbook is a object which is part of workbooks family, and then we will write in this for each worksheet. In worksheet, I use this loop a lot, especially when I compile the data. This is a wonderful code actually. So we are going to use the 2 loops guys. One is this one, the bigger one for each workbook, and what the second is for each worksheet in worksheets. So what will happen, we have 3 files, so one by one we will go in every file using this for each workbook in workbooks, and then for that workbook I do not know how many files I have or how many sheets I have where the data is laying. So I'm gonna run this loop for each worksheet in worksheet. So if you have 4 sheets in your workbook A, in this case file 1, it's gonna go on every sheet one by one and it's gonna pull up the data, and then finally we will compile this data and put it that main sheet, which is this master sheet. And also when the data is going to be compiled, we're going to put here if condition that if the data if the name has got this path, only then please copy the value and paste it. That is what actually I'm going to do here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the code. So I'm going to quickly use these files. Okay, I think I clicked on the don't save. That's a very wrong thing. I have saved it. So because I deleted sheet 2 and sheet 3, so let me just save this and I'm gonna open this again. I think it's saved. All right, so this is what we are going to do, guys. Now where we want to compile it, I'm gonna compile the data here. So compile will happen here. Okay, thank you so much, Prabhat, for this question. I hope all my YouTubers who are watching this video, and they're really going to benefit, take a good benefit out of this, because this is when we compile the data, this is how we actually have the sort of requirement where we put the if conditions and where we can actually use the sub loops in the loop. So I created inserted the module. Now the first thing which I want to do is I was telling you, if you remember, first of all define your folder. Where is your folder? So guys, go to the tools and the reference, and what you need to do is just gonna click on the Microsoft, and then you're gonna click on the Microsoft scripting runtime. So scripting runtime, I think it's OMNO, PKRS, they all the libraries are sorted out in the ascending order. So this is what you need on. You click OK, back to the tool and the reference, make sure that this is on. This is a scripting runtime library which will help us in order to define the folders. So we're gonna write this name as compile the data, and I'm gonna write the code. First thing which I will write is I'll declare an object which should be equivalent to my scripting library. So I'm going to define here FSO as scripting dot file system object. Then you define set FSO equals to new file system object. Okay, and then I'm gonna put some backspace here. That's how it is, right? Okay, so now what we will be doing is, if you hear some noise in the background, guys, my apologies to you. There is some actually construction work going on, and so you may hear some noise actually. So you have this FSO declared, and what is the next thing I want to do? Well, the next thing I want to declare my folder. So I'm going to write here another variable, object variable, and I'm going to define it as the same scripting library folder class. Okay, so set my folder equals to, you got to define your folder. What is your folder? Using the FSO dot get folder. This is how you define the folder, right? Now I have talked about all this in a very detailed manner. I'm running it this video fast because of the reason that I hope that you know these things. You have actually a slight idea about all these things, because if you want to actually check that how exactly I'm doing and how the things are working, if you think that this is little this is going a little quick, then you first got to go to those playlists and watch first the basic parts. Right now what happens, this my folder is going to be defined as a folder 1, right? So we're going to run the loop now in the folder 1, and we're going to open all these workbooks one by one. So to do that, what you will do, you will use another loop. I declare here my dimfs scripting file. What will happen, you will say that for each file, for each f in your my folder dot files, this is the another collection loop, guys. I forgot to tell you this. This will help you in opening all the workbooks one by one. So what you're going to do is you're going to open those files one by one. So you will write here workbook dot open. This is the command, and what you want to open, whatever the name you have. So you will have the name called, for example, the first name would be file1.xls, but you need to prefix the address. So whenever you open the workbook, you got to provide the path. So what is your path? Your path is my folder, right? So you join it with this and the backslash here and join it with the f name. So now what happens, when this line will run, it will completely give you this path, which is colon and backslash folder1 and backslash file1.xlsx. Okay, so one by one we will have all the files getting open. So this is what I'm gonna show you right away. So let me run this file and let us see. Here we go. You see that my folder is D folder, and I have joined it with the backslash, which is very much important, and then the file name. So I open this, you see in the background the file get open. So for each f in my folder dot files, so I still have 2 more files. So this loop is again gonna capture another file. Have the file 2 open, have the file 3 open. Perfect. And then what else? Don't have anything. Master sheet is already open, so obviously you don't want to open this file again. So I just click on the no. So let me just end this, because master sheet also you have created in the same folder. So maybe you can write here if condition that if the workbook name, if your file name actually is equals to this, which is the name of this workbook, which is mastersheet.xls, then you can write here this workbook dot name. Okay, then I say that if the file name is not the name of this workbook dot name will give you the name of this workbook where you are writing the code under the module, right? So this obviously we are writing the code in the master sheet, and if it is not equals to it, then please open it. Otherwise, don't open it. Just end it. Don't do anything. So if I'm gonna run this file again, let me just first close all the files one by one. I'll run it little later, but first of all, let's go ahead and close this file 2 and file 3 as well. Now once you have all the workbooks open, then you will run the another loop, and here we're gonna run the another loop. Run the loop now to compile the data from opened workbooks. Okay, so here we're gonna run the another loop, and which would go in this way. So I'm gonna declare here dim wb as workbook, and in the same line I use the comma, and I'm going to declare as worksheet. So we are going to use the 2 objects. One is for the workbook and the second is for the worksheet. So I'm going to say that for each workbook in workbooks. Next. Okay, and we're going to have the workbook opened. So this is how you can activate the workbook, so that your window keep on rotating. It keep on going to the different workbooks. So here what we will write that if the workbook name is not equals to this workbook name, which is your master sheet. You can also write the master sheet.xlsx, that's fine, but I'm gonna write here this one. If it is not equals to this, then of course it has to go to the every sheet. So we will write here for each worksheet in worksheets. So now it will loop through all the sheets one by one of all the workbooks which are open. But remember, just in case if the workbook is going to be the current workbook where I'm going to compile the data, which is master sheet, then I will write here else and if. It should not do anything. Okay, so once you have this worksheet open, you're going to select that sheet, and then you're going to copy the data. So you're going to copy the data in this. So let me just first open the file, and once you have this, let's say for example the code has opened this file, and I think this we don't need. Let me delete that and save the file. So now you're gonna run the loop here. So you're gonna start from this the B1. Okay, so from the B1, what I will do actually is so you can also put the filter here. This is also a good way of doing the things. You can put the filter, and you can keep your selection here path. That is also one of the good way of doing it. Just the filter here, and you can copy this entire data. I'm going to copy the data, then I go here in the master sheet and I'm going to paste the data here. And that way I think it's going to be shorter. If you run the loop on every line one by one, if you check the things, it may take a time. So I think this is also one of the best option. That is also something you can do, right? So what we will doing is we are going to use the filter then. Okay, so in order to do the filter, now let's say you do not know the code. So what we can do, we can record the macro here quickly. Record the macro, and I'm going to record the macro. Let me name it as macro 1 only. So I just put the filter here. You just select the entire portion here and put the filter DFFF and just click here and click the path. That's it. Okay. And then you can copy the data as well. I mean, you can control C it. Fine, that's all up to you. I stop the recording. Let me go to the Visual Basic and let me quickly see the code which we have generated. So I'm taking the help of the macro editor. So this is how the code looks like, which looks very simple. I'm gonna cut this and I'm gonna put it in my module, guys. So this is how you see you are learning. So what you will do in the sheet which you're going to select, from A to C will be selected, then you will have the filter, and in the filter now it recorded because if you look at this, what happened, you have the 13 rows, and that's why the macro recorded 13, but in your case it might be different, right? So I'm going to take it maybe 13,000, 1300, whatever you want, right? But the data would remain as per path. That's it. And then you do the selection, you select the data with the data, and then what you need to do will be back on your workbook. So you're not activate your this workbook, activate, and then the active sheet, which is obviously going to be your let me first of all close this file, continue saving this. I don't need the macro to be saved, that was just for my knowledge. I should be on the compile sheet, right? So when you're going to run the macro, obviously you will be here. You will create the button here, so no need to write anything. I will create the button here, so I'm going to write here the button which I will run, right? So what I will do is, before I paste the data, I will go in the A10 lakh cell and I will use the control up arrow, and then I will come to one row down, because what happens, you will paste the data for the first time. Let's say this is the data pasted. Now the second time when the data is going to be pasted from the different workbook, then we would like to paste the data here. So that's why I'm saying that first we will go in the 8-10 lakh and we will use the control up arrow. This control up arrow is going to take you to the last field value, and then we will move one cell down in order to paste the data. So that's what I'm going to do in the very first step. So here what I will do, I will simply, let me just scroll it down. I'm going to say that from the A, let's say 10,000, 1 lakh, whatever it is, depending upon how much data you have, is offset me by one row. So this is how you write one row and down. Okay, and then there you will paste the data, active cell dot paste special, and what you want to do, I want to paste all or paste value, whatever you want to do. I will paste, say, paste value. Okay, perfect. Now once the data is pasted, what you need to do, well, once the data is pasted, then I guess it should go to the next sheet, right? So in the next sheet it will not find anything, and then it will go in this big next, which is next workbook, actually WP. So this is what I will write here, WS, which is for the next worksheet. So now this is how my code is gonna run. Okay, so I hope we are pretty fine with this. I'm gonna run this code and let me give some space here. Okay, so yeah, that's it, guys. Let us run this and see how it is going to work. So I save the file. I want to change the extension, so we're going to change the extension, and I'm going to put it in the same folder, which is folder 1, because when I created this workbook, it didn't have any macro, so we need to change the extension from .xlsx to xlsn. Okay, so all set. I'm going to close this file as well, the text file. Let me just close everything. Now we're going to run this file. Okay, there we go. So we started it, guys, you can see. And by the way, let me just give you some space so that you can see the title, right? So what is the first name of the file? It's file1, right, which is not equals to your workbook, which is mastersheet.xlsm. So it will open. We have the file 1 open. What is the next file? The next file in my D drive folder 1 is file 2, so it will also get open. Perfect. And then the file 3 is also getting open. The next time is mastersheet.xlsm, which is absolutely the same name. So they are equal. So this condition fails, and that is why I will go in the else mode now. See that? Wonderful. Now all the workbooks are open. Once all the workbooks are open, we're gonna, okay, so there's something else also. Let me see. Mastersheet is mastersheet.xls. Okay, so there is one more file actually, which remember, first when I created the file, it was mastersheet.xlsx. This is what I was telling you, and then we recorded the macro, so we changed the extension. So this should not be there actually. Let me delete that. Okay, so anyways, this will work now. File not found, that's fine. I'm just gonna drag it here. Let me just it here. Yes. Okay, so before you do that, what you need to do is you need to put the line here, this one, workbook.activate. Workbook.activate actually, I beg your pardon, let me undo it. Basically we would like to run this code from our own platform, which is this workbook.activate. So it will, because when these files get opened, you never know which particular file will be open in the active window. For example, right now I think the file 3 was the one which opened last, so file 3 will be open, so file 3 will be considered as the workbook, the current workbook, which I do not want. So that's why before I run the loop, let me activate this workbook. You have this master sheet on. Perfect. Now once this master sheet is on, I'm gonna run this workbook now for each workbook in workbook. So all the open workbooks will loop now. So we're gonna run this. So what is the name of our first workbook? It's mastersheet.xlsm, and this is exactly the same name, right? Because you're running this loop from this mastersheet.xlsm. So obviously we don't want to do anything here. So the name is equals to this name, which is again the condition is getting here false. So it will go in the else mode, not do anything. Now the time for the next workbook. So next workbook will be now selected. You see the background file 1 is selected, right? Obviously this is the file 1 and this is mastersheet.xlsm, which is my file. This workbook dot means it will always refer to the workbook where you are writing the code, where you have written the code. Doesn't matter what active window you will have. So obviously they are not equal, the condition satisfies, and now we're gonna run the loop. So I have only one sheet here, maybe you have two sheets there. That's not gonna create any problem, provided you should have the same structure of your data. You have the 3 columns there, and serial number 1, name and amount should be in the same sequence, right? So we're gonna run this. The first sheet will be selected. It copied the data A to C, and I have the filter, and that is copied. The data is filtered for this Prabhat. So you can change this Prabhat to any other name as well in the code, or maybe you can link it up also with any cell in the Excel. You can, instead of this criteria 1 equals to coach Prabhat, you can also write range A2 dot value. That will also work, guys. So you can control it from there also. So it is copied. Once it is copied, I want to go back to my workbook. See that I'm back on my workbook. Now this will take me to the A1 cell. Okay, from the A1 to the A2, because I'm using offset 1, 0. So here I will have my data pasted. Very nice. Now go for the next worksheet. Now before you go for the next worksheet, what you would like to do, you would like to again activate that workbook, because now if I run this next worksheet, what will happen, it will consider the worksheets of this active window, which is your master sheet, and you don't want to do that, right? So once you have copied the data, let me just put it back. We want to go back to that same workbook. Now you see that I'm back on the same workbook. Now because I'm back on the same workbook, I'm gonna go in the next worksheet, and you know that there is no worksheet, there's no second worksheet. So eventually what will happen, guys, it will stop the loop. This inner loop will be stopped, and you will have your the next workbook activated. So I'm gonna click here on the next workbook. On the next workbook, now this loop will run for each workbook. In workbooks, again you will have a new workbook activated. Wow, this is again the new workbook activated. You obviously know this is a file 2 and this is a master sheet, so they are not equal. I have again the same code running. So now the auto filter is on. You're gonna have the path, and I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go back to my workbook, and this time it will again go to the control up arrow from the 810 lakh, and then I'm absolutely on the correct cell, the blank cell, and the data will be pasted. So that's why we use this range 810 lakh and Excel up offset 10. Control up arrow, and control up arrow will take you to the last filled cell, and then from that filled value will move one row down. Perfect. So now we're gonna go back to the workbook, same workbook, before we go with this next bigger workbook, which will eventually go for the next workbook. So in this workbook there is no other sheet activated, so that's it. Next workbook, and then we're gonna have this another workbook. So I'm gonna copy the data from here, and then you will have the same data pasted there, right? So now what is the challenge here? So why are we getting the error that you can't paste this here, because the copy area and the paste area aren't the same size? Well, makes a sense to me. So guys, the reason is actually, if you look at the file 3, the data you copied, actually unnecessarily you copied the data you're using actually so many rows. If you just scroll it down, this is your selection. So obviously data which you're trying to copy, you will not have that much of space in this file. If you ever have faced this problem, then I'm telling you right away what is the solution. Here already 11 rows are consumed, and I think this is taking more space. This is copying the more number of the rows, and eventually if you scroll it down, you keep on scrolling down, I think this range actually is going to the last row, which is 10 lakh whatever it is, I think 48,000 something. So all the rows are actually getting copied here. So what we can do is, in this particular case, we can always select the A1 and we can use the Control Shift End. Control Shift End will take you to the last value. That's another shortcut key. So I can do one thing, just reset the code. And in order to do that, so instead of copying this data, before we copy the data, we will first do the proper selection. Okay, so how are you going to do the proper selection? Well, in order to do the proper selection, let us do one thing. I'm going to record the macro again, because I don't remember the syntax. And there we go, the macro started recording. I come to the A1 and I press Control Shift End, the end key. It takes you to the last value. That's it, guys. And then I'm going to copy the data, stop the recording. Once you stop the recording, I come back to the code and let's have a look what we have actually recorded. So guys, this is the code actually. From the A1, it goes to the last cell. That's it, simple. Just cut this line and we're gonna put it here. So before I copy the data, this is what I will do. We'll go in the A1 and from there it use the Control Shift End. Let me just write it down. Shift and End. I think now we will not have the problem. So let me close this file. Don't save. Yes, I don't want to save. Let me save the code here, and I'm gonna close this file too also. Just a second, give me a second. File 2, I'm gonna close it. Don't save. And file 3 also I'm going to close it. I will now run the loop very fast. Okay, so this also needs to be cleared. So please make sure when you run the macro, before you click on this button, everything should be cleared. Or you can also write everything in the macro that before the code happens to run, everything should be deleted. You can write on the top here that the sheet 1, for example, let me just write it. I'm going to write here the cells dot select and selection dot clear content. Yeah, that is what you are actually going to write it. This will always make sure that this sheet is going to be cleared. So I run this and you see that everything is going to be cleared. There we go. Now we will have all the files getting open. Let me run this quickly. All the files getting open. Excel cannot open the Microsoft .xlsm because the file with the extension is not valid. Alright, so we got some problem here. What is the issue? Master sheet .xlsm. Let me reset the code. I think there's some problem executing this code. Okay, so I'm on my right now. Let me just close this PPT as well. Okay, so let me save the file. I'm gonna run this again. Let me see what's wrong with this. Okay, what is the first name? The first name is file 1. Let it open. Okay, what is the second name? The second name is file 2, obviously in my folder. So file 2 is also open, and then file 3 is also open. Next, then what is the next name? Master sheet. So what is the name of this? Is master sheet.xlsm. This is also master sheet, so it should go in the else mode. What is the another name? It is something related to, okay, so it actually shows in the read mode. So let me just have a look here. Okay, I think because this file actually is opened, because of that, this also shows as a read-only mode because you have already opened this file, and that's the reason. It's very bizarre. It's doing that, but then I can do one thing. If VBA is so rigid, I can be more rigid, and I can put further the constraint. Now, this time I'm not going to use this workbook name like this. I'm going to use if my file name actually you use the like button. And we're gonna use the star here. So it means I'm saying that if it contained, because in the read-only mode I see the $sign coming, because of which equals to will not work. So I can say that if the file name contains master sheet, just exit. Okay, so this is how you write the, before you need to write this workbook name, and before it you write the star, and after also you write the star in the quote. Star is a wild character we use. If you know this, if you work in the SQL or SQL Server or Access, you know this actually we use to basically when we want to find out whether something is there or not, contains actually. So now, like, I'm using contains, this is not equals to remember. So any point in time, if any file has master sheet coming in its name, this master sheet or this master sheet where you have the $sign, it will be node. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me close the file 1 again. So just close this file 3 as well, file 2 as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the code. I save the file and I'm gonna run this. There we go. So I have both the files open, 3 files open, right? So now I'm gonna run this. Alright, so there's one mistake we did, guys. I think I put the wrong condition. Let me reset the code, because if the name contains this, then it should open it. It's not that. If the name contains this, it should actually exit. Okay, so what I will do is I will cut this line, and I'm going to put it in the else mode now. This is what I'm saying now. So the the entire thing changes. Okay, so if the name contains this, then do nothing. Right, so in this way now we're going to run the code. Okay, so I run this. Let me see what is the first name of the file. It's file 1, which is obviously not equals to, which does not contain this workbook.name. It should go in the else mode. Yes, now in the else mode it will open the file. Let me show you in the background. We can see here in the background the file 1 is open, and then we have the file 2 getting open, we have the file 3 getting open, and the next, what is it? It's master sheet, which contains this master, obviously this name, this workbook.name, which tells you about the workbook where you have written the code. So obviously it will go in the endif mode. Wow. And what about the next? You remember this $sign coming for the master sheet because it is open, right? So that's why it is showing, it is looping through that file as well, and that became the challenge for us. So I know that this again contains the master sheet, so it will again go in the endif, and that's it. So this is how you can overcome. This wasn't expected. Now this happens when I record the live videos, So this helps you in understanding how basically I'm doing the things and how I'm trying to give the solutions, right? This is not a kind of a 100% somebody who's I'm not kind of a 100% genuine programmer, which if I just write and everything will work smoothly. It's not that, right? It doesn't happen, right? So I could have edited the video, but that's fine. Why would I edit the video? You got to understand how the challenges come, right? That's how you will learn it. So now we're gonna have this workbook activated, and you already know what will happen here. Now in this case also, I think I should write the same stuff. Okay, before I don't want to take a chance, because this will also create that problem of the read only. So I'm gonna copy this line, this like actually, and we'll copy this and we're gonna put it here. So we'll write here, it contains this workbook name, then let me just delete that. Do nothing. Okay, if it contains that, because we don't want to do anything. So in the then I write here do nothing. Okay, else run the loop. Else you please go ahead and process this. And so here else I think we can write here endif, or maybe I think else we will go in the sheet. Yeah, that's it, I think. Okay, let us see. So what is the workbook name? First workbook name is master sheet. Okay, so it is actually a master sheet, so it will go in the then mode. In the then mode it will not find anything, obviously, so it goes in the endif. Next workbook, so we're gonna have the new workbook activated, which is in now file 1. You can see, so file 1 obviously is not equals, it doesn't contain this master sheet word. So go in the else, and now we're gonna run the loop. So I selected this, we put the filter, have this. Now this is what I was talking about. Now it selected the correct range. You have the data copied. I go back and I paste the data here. Very nice. I come back to my now workbook, which is file 1, doesn't have any sheet, so it will not go in any another sheet. Okay, next workbook will be activated here, which would be file 2. File 2 of course doesn't contain this master sheet.xlsn. Contains means, guys, it can be anywhere. Its name can be anywhere, right? If you have anything prefixed before m, then that will also be to follow in this criteria. It's not equals to. Equals to means exactly the same. So else, now I'm gonna run this loop again. So I have the data copied. This is complete, active special cell is working very nice. Copy the data and go back here, and then I think we should be able to do it quickly. We go, data is again copied. Next workbook, and there we go. The files are finished. Very nice. Now before all the files are finished, let's go back to the original workbook. Workbook.activate. Okay, so if I just scroll it up, this will take me back to the original file. So here, guys, you will have all the data. So this is how you can use the filter as well. So we haven't used the advanced filter. Advanced filter is something else, because I changed my mind while writing the code. First I thought that I will compile the entire data, not on the filter basis, but I think this is fine, because this way you will run the loop very fast. So we use the filter only, not the advanced filter. So once you have all this data, then what is the next step you can do? Of course you can delete this, the first row, and then what you can do is you can put the filter here. Then you're gonna select all these serial numbers from here. You can record the macro also for that. I don't think so you should do this such a minor task, and select these and delete them, and then remove the filter, and you have your data back here. In order to close all the files, again you can do one thing after doing all this stuff, because I know that would be your next question. Then you can run the loop, which is for each workbook in workbooks which are all open right now. Next, keep them, activate them, and then close them. This is how you can do. Close them with no save changes. You want to save the changes? No, because you don't want to save the changes. You just use them to copy the data. And here again you put the same condition, because for each workbook your master sheet will also be coming. So you can write here that if the master sheet is there, keep it open. So we're gonna write here that if the name contains this master sheet, then do nothing. So I write in the do nothing. And if the name is not that, then in the else mode I will like to close them. And if I write the false, it will not ask you for that prompt, guys, that you want to save the changes, which can be very irritating, right? Because subscriber given me only 3 files. In your case it might be 30 files, so you of course would not like to keep on clicking on the no 30 times, right? Because it will ask you when you are going to copy the data from this, there is some activity which is happening in those file 1, file 2. So when you're gonna close them, they will ask you that whether you want to save it or not, right? So if I, for example, I right now close this, you see this prompt would come. So don't save. Instead of you clicking on the don't save, if you write there false, it will automatically close the file with no changes. And if you write there true, the changes will be saved, right? I think this is how you can make this program. And then finally, when all the workbooks will be closed, you will have you will be left with only this workbook. And then you can also save this file, just in case if you want to do that. Workbook.save, and you can write a message box done. So I just run this code. Let me put the break code here so that the code should stop, but I'm gonna run it quickly. So there we go. I'm gonna run this. You see that the is getting compiled. Oh, wow, this is so quick, guys. I'm gonna run this. What is the first name? The first name is master sheet, so it will not do anything. It goes in the endif. Next, what's the next workbook? It is file 1. So now of course this condition is going to be because this doesn't contain this name of the file, so it will go in the else, and then it will activate that workbook. If I just scroll it down, reduce the height of this, see that the workbook activated, and then I'm gonna close this with no changes. You see it's closed. And if what is the next workbook? The next workbook is file 2. Let it be closed. The last one is file 3, and it is also going to be closed. And finally you have your workbook, and if you run this, it will save. So this is something I get due to my security concerns, but you will not get this. And this box done. That's it. If you get to see this kind of a document inspect error, not the error actually, it's just a prompt. So what you can do is you can go to the developer tab, and in the macro security you can here in the privacy option you can uncheck this, remove personal information. That's it. The next time when you run this code, nothing will happen, no prompt will come. So if I just show you this quickly, see guys, let us run this code. And so I have to right click on this button, and I'm going to give this a button, macro name compile. And so if I just run this, the macro will run. But you can also bring the speed to this macro, writing here application dot screen updating equals to false. So the screen will not be running, you will not see anything, it will happen so fast. So just run this, see that screen, there is no movement, and it ran, right? You have your data done, and all the files are gone, guys. Okay, so let me show you again. Though in the macro it is deleting everything, but still look at this, thing runs. It's so fast, and you have the data. Wow, wonderful. And if you don't use the application screen, it's not mandatory, it just brings the speed. But if you just delete this line, or maybe comment this line like this, if you want to run this line now, see what will happen. You will see some movement in the files. So I'm going to run this now. Look at this, there's a lot of movement, you can see that. So that's it, guys. This is how you can make this code, and we have very wisely used the filters, and there are so many loops which we actually have used. You can pause the video and see this entire code, and let me just scroll it down also. This is the second part of the code which you can see. That's it. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you so much for giving me such a wonderful question, and hope you will subscribe to the channel and support me. I will be back very soon, guys. Thank you so much for watching.